So last week we had our first photo shoot, and it was my first ever photo shoot which I've led. I've been to studios before, I've seen video shoots and photo shoots be done from behind the scenes, etc. So I had an idea of how it was going to go, but it was still my first time, so I went into it very nervous and unassuming. I didn't do as much prep as I intended to, and this video is just to let you know everything I learned from it. Maybe it'll help you save time or save money or whatever when you do your first shoot. So yeah, the shoot went well. We got all the pictures. Well, no, we didn't get all the pictures which I wanted actually. And that's going to be my first point. One thing that I knew I had to do and which I already had an idea of was a vision board. So on Canva, I already had a mood board. I'll see if I can get an image of it, a screenshot of it up here for you to look at. But on Canva, I already had a vision board as to the kind of vision I wanted. When I was going to Manchester, I spent about an hour or two getting pictures from Pinterest of the actual poses I wanted. Now, I didn't realize how valuable having these specific pictures with specific poses and specific angles. I didn't realize how useful and valuable that was going to be until we were at the shoot and we were referring to them. So that's tip number one if we're going to be doing a list or whatnot. But tip number one, make sure you have a vision board and use Pinterest. Have the exact poses which you want your models to be in, because I can't imagine what I would have done if I never had that vision board, because it was really easy and really nice being able to just show them the vision board, point to the picture I want, and say, I want you to pose like this. And then they saw it, understood it, and tried to get into that. Now, don't get me wrong, there was some angles and stuff which were a bit more difficult, but the point is that we had a vision, and it just made getting through that process way easier. So vision board was everything. And I think next time I'm going to spend much more time on the vision board, because what happened was I only had a vision board of women in poses which I wanted. I didn't have vision boards of more than one person, so when we were doing the couple shots or the duo shots, there wasn't nothing to refer to. And then when we were doing obviously the shots of everyone together, there was nothing to refer to. So only on the individual shots was I able to refer to that and move quicker because of it. So yeah, vision boards are everything. Spend time doing it, and next time I'm certainly going to spend a good day really picking out what I want. It wasn't until after the shoot that I realized the importance of lighting as well. This seems a bit like an obvious one. Like, you're in a studio, why wouldn't you be aware of the lighting? I'm not coming from a photographer's background. I've done a lot of photography in the past and videography, so I understand the basics, and obviously I make these videos and there's some things which I understand, and you probably do too. But yeah, there's just certain lighting and things which I'm going to pay much more attention to. So there's some pictures, and I'll see if I can get the pictures of those ones up as well, where it looks dark in certain places where I didn't want it to look dark, which was the hoodie. And with the hoodie being black, it's kind of important that it's not too dark. It loses detail. It loses it's not good enough. So yeah, that would be number two, just making sure that you know how to handle your lighting and what to do with your lighting and what you want with your lighting. Also, be on time. So unfortunately, I was running about 30 minutes late, and time is everything when you're in a studio. We only had the studio for 2 hours. So that 30 minutes that we lost was really, really annoying. I did add 30 minutes onto the end, but because it wasn't planned in, it just kind of shifted things. So make sure you're on time, try and arrive before if you can. And then, try and build a relationship with the people you're shooting with, because I didn't actually know them individually too well. And I feel like if we had an extra 30 minutes where I wanted to spend some time, getting to know them, maybe speaking to them, maybe doing icebreakers or whatever it would take, that would be really valuable as well. So that's another learning which I'm going to take into the next shoot, that if I don't know them, spend some time talking, getting to know them, breaking the ice and loosening things up, because obviously they're going to feel a little bit tense, the models I'm speaking about here. They're going to feel a bit tense going up in front of the camera and whatnot. So it was me and my friend in the studio that were doing the actual shoots. My friend had the camera, she took most of the pictures, and then I was just chiming in where and when I wanted. And it's interesting because these roles kind of fell naturally. Obviously I brought her in to take the pictures, but obviously I'm also taking the pictures and whatnot. But what was interesting is that in previous shoots that I've been to, I saw there was someone specifically in the role of directing. This was for a film shoot which I'd been to, so I'm guessing there's a lot more intricate details and such where a director's is much more necessarily than, say, a photography shoot. My point is there was someone clearly directing, and then someone at the back who was still, the overall looking over everything, that would just chime in when he needs to. And that's what I found myself doing, as in looking over everything, and then the photographer was doing the directing, and I felt way more comfortable like that as opposed to me directing. It was like, okay, I go to the photographer saying I want this, and the photographer goes to the model saying they need to do this. Understanding that relationship between each person in the room is also very important and allows for a much easier workflow. But that was an interesting learning, and then understanding how you can develop that kind of relationship between each other so people understand who to listen to. Another thing as well that I'd say lacked in this, well, obviously, again, it's the first shoot. I appreciate it's the first shoot and it wasn't going to go perfect, but one thing that I'm definitely going to work on next time is the video content. Obviously, we're getting all these pictures, but it was also important I got reels as well and videos. And I did get some. And the little that I did get and how unplanned it was, I didn't plan anything for the reels. I was just like, oh yeah, I'll film some behind the scenes stuff. The little that I did get has become so much more valuable in the aftermath, in that I'm using it all the time now in order to promote the hoodies, to create the content and such. Next time I think I'm just going to, again, dedicate time, dedicate a whole section, maybe I'll have to book the studio for 4 hours next time or whatever, but dedicate a whole hour or whatnot specifically to reels and getting certain videos and close-up shots or whatever shots are necessary, because they have become invaluable to the point where I really wish we did have an extra hour where I could have just only got video shots so that we can get certain pictures, certain close-ups, certain, angles of the hoodies and such. But at the end of the day, it was a photography shoot, so I'm not like screaming at myself. And like I said, with what I do have and the kind of behind the scenes content we've got with it, I'm happy with that, So important learning is figuring out what I actually want from the shoot. If I booked this studio knowing I wanted reels and photography, I should have split the time up and planned accordingly, knowing I want reels and photography as opposed to just doing whatever. Speaking of planning again, and it sounds like the only learnings from this is to plan more. I didn't get the basic shots I wanted, so I should have had a list of must-haves. So next time on the vision board, I'm going to have a little section that are must-haves and probably get those ticked off first. As in, we must have a front shot, a side shot, a back shot. Pause. We must have all of these shots ticked off and done before we move on to the other stuff, which was more playful and just general shots. Yeah, I just wanted to make this video to let you know how the first shoot went. It was really exciting. It is really nice to be in the studio. And like I said, I've been to shoots before and it's just nice to be in the driver's seat this time and really see it come together. And then when the content comes out, it does look clean and it does just level up the brand to where I want it to be. And I can only imagine where it can get taken on the back of that. Another interesting thing was before this, I was constantly thinking I need a creative director. But after doing this, I realized I don't necessarily need a creative director. I just need to know how to plan and where to take inspiration and how to use inspiration and to actively seek inspiration. Like I said, I keep bringing them up. The previous shoots that I've been to, there was a creative director there who directed and created the entire, vision and the idea for the films. Again, for a film, it's completely different to photography, so I understand that, but there was theming there. Because this was just a basic, blank white studio photo shoot, the room for theming and certain aspects I kind of ignored and didn't think was possible necessarily. But again, moving into the next shoot, I'll definitely be taking this into account and seeing how I can play with this. I don't necessarily need a creative director, although in the future I do plan to bring one in, to again scale up the ads and whatnot, but we'll talk about that another time. But in terms of needing someone there to creatively direct, you can probably do it yourself, so long as you find inspiration, know what you want, and are able to communicate it through whether it's pictures or imagery or whatnot. And like I said, naturally I fell into the role with my photographer whereby I wasn't even needing to directly explain it to the models where they may have got a bit confused. There was like the photographer almost acted as like a filter. So if you can have someone there that acts as like a filter to the models, I'm not saying that the models are dumber or anything. I'm just saying someone that's maybe close to you or understands exactly what you want, or is, close to the brand and is happy to help or direct how they think they're trying to communicate your message. It really helps create a journey almost between you and the models. Now, not obviously I could have just spoke direct to the model, said I want this and this and this, but it's always nice to have second opinions, third opinions, and have everyone involved. Even at times, the models themselves were saying, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? And we did put that into action, and I'm glad we did, because there was times we literally finished everything which I could think of and said, if you have any ideas, bring them forward now. Like, let me know. Let's do them. And one of them did, such as the videos of getting the clothes hanged on the rail, little things, but I'm using them now for video content, or I'm using it now as photography content. So these are like valuable moments coming from the people themselves. So it's really nice to involve everyone. Now, albeit it was a small team, there was only 5 of us in the room. I can imagine there's going to be times where there's 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, 50 people. And at that point, you're not just going to be going over to the model saying, what do you think we should do? Obviously, they're going to, that's when it gets more complicated. But when you're starting out, and this video is for people starting out because that's what I'm doing. If this is your first shoot or whatnot, it's probably going to be a small team. So utilize everyone as much as you can. Anyway, that's going to bring me to the end of this video. Hope you found this insightful. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe. Check out the other episodes from building a clothing brand or starting a clothing brand. I can't remember what I named it, but I'll make sure to put the link to the playlist here and in the description. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.